So there's honestly two ways you can post a Depop listing. You can be either A, take a random picture, post a very simple description saying Calvin Klein green t-shirt, put like 3 different hashtags like hashtag Y2K, hashtag vintage, hashtag this is so cool, slap a price on it, upload it, and be on your way praying to dear God that enough people are going to see it and someone's going to want to buy it. Or you could do the other way. So option B is actually being intentional with how you want to present your items in a very well lit, clear and concise photo, in addition to having a description that will actually optimize your item for keyword search. What I mean is that when someone's looking for an item, you want to make sure that your item pops up in their search list. And this is not some kind of lottery where you just hope your item shows up to the right people who would actually want to buy it. This is an intentional process where if you put the right descriptions for your item, it will be shown to people who would actually be interested in that specific item. Something else to keep in mind when you're listing on Depop, other than making sure that your picture is eye-catching and making sure that your item shows up in the relevant searches, is to then decide how much money and profit you want to make from your item based on how you choose to price it. And something I want my viewers to keep in mind is, what is your goal in being on Depop? What type of seller do you want to be? Would you like to become a established top seller on Depop, or are you looking more towards being a casual seller that sells things out of your closet and you're not too worried about racking up a lot of sales? By deciding what type of seller you want to become, you can decide how much time and effort you're going to put into your Depop store, into your pictures, into your description, and even in your pricing. Because your pricing at some point, if you're going to be an established seller, if you're going to put that much effort into pictures, description, and everything else from selling to marketing, then you should include time and effort into your pricing. What I want is for you to come out of this being a smart seller. One that makes sure that you are pricing the item based on how you aspire to sell on Depop. So what you first want to do is have a camera. Your phone camera will be perfectly fine for this. And then next on your camera, you want to make sure that instead of having the rectangular picture option, you can change it to the square picture. After that, you want to pick a well-lit area for your background. It could be the wall, it could be a clean floor, it could be over a blanket, it could be outside. But maybe you're in a city and you're just in a location where there's not a lot of sunlight coming through your window, or just the fact that taking pictures next to the window is very time sensitive and perhaps you want to take pictures after work at night, then what I recommend is finding a well-lit area with good lighting. If you don't have good lighting, you can also buy a lamp with some soft lighting. Be careful not to choose a lamp that has such a strong light that it really increases the light exposure on your item and doesn't make it look good. What some people have done is, after they make enough profit, they reinvest that profit into buying a Lightbox, which is great for taking pictures of products. Additionally, you can also search on YouTube. There's a lot of tutorials on how to make a DIY Lightbox that will help you up your game in taking pictures of your product. And now here's where it matters whether you want to aspire to be a top seller or just a casual seller. What some top sellers do is that they model some of their clothes. By doing so, your picture has a better chance of showing up on the Depop Explore page, which is what you want in order to increase traffic to your store. Alternatively, even just in search in general, your people's eyes tend to gravitate more towards items that are being modeled because it helps them better picture what it would look like on their figure if they were to buy it. However, if you're not comfortable with that, modeling your clothes is not necessary to become a top seller, but it definitely helps. And next up are descriptions. What would the difference be between writing a one-sentence description versus writing a detailed description? As I described earlier, having a longer description with specific keywords and tags will improve the searchability of your item and therefore get it in front of more people. By getting in front of more people, you'll have more people who are interested, it'll catch their eye, and better potential for someone to buy. Additionally, the more specific and most importantly transparent you are about the blemishes, about its quality, the fabrics being used, then the more influence you'll have in gaining the buyer's trust to purchasing your item. If you can already address a buyer's concerns ahead of time, then they will be more inclined to buy your item. And so what I've done is analyze a lot of the different descriptions that the best sellers use on Depop, and then created a step-by-step framework you can use when writing your description. I think this will make it a lot easier. There's a lot of information that I wrote on it, but honestly, you can just pick and choose whichever ones you decide to use, and just know what the thought process is behind it. So what you want to do is identify the style. It could be something like Y2K, which just means it's from the early 2000s. It could be retro, which is around the past 10 to 20 years. Retro is more descriptive of a style, and vintage is usually about maybe 20 or 30 years and beyond. You'll see people using vintage incorrectly on the app, which, you know, you can't beat them, join them. And to find more ideas of what words you can use, just look at the popular categories on Depop and see how others are describing items similar to yours. Next is to describe what is it, and this is more factual, going over the item's brand, what it is it a shirt, is it shoes, what category it is it women's wear, the size, as well as the quality and what material is being used. Is it 100% cotton, 10% rayon? And the next one is a bit optional, but as I discussed earlier, it would definitely help paint a better picture to the buyer about what the item is like. So for example, you're highlighting key features using descriptive language. You can talk about the texture. Is it soft? Is it coarse? Is the design colorful or very plain? Is it monochromatic? And in what situations can it be worn? And lastly, are there any blemishes that you should mention? Perhaps there's a stain or a tear somewhere. It's good to let someone know, or else the buyer will feel like they're being bamboozled. Lastly, is there a story to the item that you can share? For example, perhaps this little black dress is something you wear to all of your dates, and all of those dates went well. So those are all like optional and better ways to describe your item. And pretty much that section of the description page is a great marketing blurb to your buyer. And then next up is a very short blurb about your shop policies. For example, do you offer free shipping, or should they DM you for bundles in order to get discounts? It's just like a good nice to have in your description, but it's not completely mandatory. And lastly, this is actually important to have, which is tags and keywords at the bottom. Normally, Depop only gives you 5 hashtags to use, but the way their search works is that any word that's in your description is a keyword, and it's almost the same, it's pretty much equivalent to a tag. So do quick research on what other similar items on Depop are using. If you see a pattern in the type of clothes you tend to upload, then remember to use those tags often. You'll find in some descriptions they'll say something like ignore tags, and they put like a crud ton of words. So here's a quick little hack. If you're going to be typing the same things over and over in your description in regards to your shop policies as well as your tags, maybe you're selling like all the same stuff, then what I recommend is going into notes, typing that out, copy it, and then go into settings for your iPhone, look for text replacement, paste your blurb in there, and choose a phrase you're going to use every time you want to have that blurb populate for you. And then there, now you can save yourself some time typing all that shiz over and over. And lastly, we're going to be going over pricing. Now I'm not going to tell you any specific price you should price your shirts, your pants, your items, because it can range from $10 all the way to like $350. So what I'll do instead is provide you the factors that you should keep in mind when pricing your item. First off, you can do some quick research on how other people are pricing your item, or pricing an item similar to yours, whether it be in the same brand or the same niche. And then next, what you want to do is to consider what is the quality of your item, how in demand is it, how popular is it unique, is it rare, is it one of a kind, is it vintage, Y2K, yada yada, or perhaps it's very niche. And lastly, how fast do you want to get rid of the item? Based on these factors, it will help you decide how you want to price your item. For example, let's say you are selling a Calvin Klein polo shirt. You search it up, Calvin Klein polo shirt, and you see some people are selling it for $50. Some are selling it for $25. Some are selling it for $30. You pick one that looks a bit similar. You see that the one that's most similar to yours is around there. And you consider that your product, the item's quality isn't that great, so you'll probably, out of the $25, the $50, you'll probably choose a lower price, maybe $30, because it's still decent, right? And then you discover, well, you want to sell it really quickly. So maybe you'll lower it down to 25 as well. Compared to all the other listings, the affordability of your item will help it sell faster. On the other hand, if you've got time to kill, you're not in a rush to really sell your item, then what I recommend is keeping it at $30. But then you think about how rare it is. You don't see a lot of people listing it, and this is an item maybe from your grandfather's closet, so it's really vintage. If it's hard to find and it's a desirable design by your target audience, then maybe you can raise the price to 35 or 50 as the highest price, or even higher if you think that this is a very valuable piece. And note that if you are unsure, it is better to price your item high and then slowly decrease it over time. If you see a lot of people liking your item but no one's buying, that could be a sign that it is definitely desirable. The demand is there, but the price is not reasonable. So you can always decrease it over time. In comparison, if you priced it low and then increased it high, you're gonna piss some people off. And lastly, what you want to keep in mind when pricing your item is Depop fees, PayPal fees, as well as shipping. In the description box below, I've linked a mini calculator you can use in figuring out how much money you would have left over after selling an item on Depop. Depop takes 10% of your selling price, PayPal takes 2.9% plus 30 cents in the US, and shipping I'll go over in a separate video. And that is all for today's video, guys. If this was helpful, then please give it a thumbs up so other people can find it as well. In addition, if you happen to have any questions, please leave it in the comment section down below. And if you are a fellow seller, then please also comment down below if you happen to know any tips and tricks that I did not mention in today's video. And lastly, if you want to see more content from me, then please hit the subscribe button down below. I post videos on Depop selling, productivity, lifestyle, and more. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one.